Hi, I'm Dan Siskin from Brickmania. I'm here at the Tank Museum with a collection of models to represent the most wanted tanks that the Tank Museum would like in their inventory.
Thank you, Dan. Well, we've got the 5 tanks here. They're just models of the tanks that we'd like to get for the collection. We think we'll get them in due course. It's just a matter of time. And they are the tanks we really covet. So let's go have a look at each one now and take them individually. Thank you. Now what we're going to do first is look at some of the models, and number 5 at the bottom of our list is the AMX-13, the French tank. Although since we've decided on this one, we've changed our minds. We've decided the tank we'd rather have is the Leclerc, the current French MBT. But since we haven't got one, we'll have to show the AMX-13 for the moment, but the Leclerc is coming, believe me. Now, the Leclerc is a fairly outrageous tank in many ways, a quite unusual shape of a tank, and it's worth looking at. And what we hope to be able to do is show you one. I actually got into terrible trouble with one of these. I went over to the Carousel in France a few years ago, and I got down on my hands and knees and looked underneath. And you're not supposed to do that, you can get into terrible trouble. I had a French soldier come up behind me and start coughing, and when I looked around, he told me to get out of it and threatened me with a bayonet attached to a rifle. So I decided that discretion was the better part of valor, so I cleared off. But I just wanted to see what the tank was like underneath, and I got quite a surprise. But it is actually quite an interesting vehicle, and it's one that we feel we really ought to have in the collection, because it's a modern tank, it fits in well with our Challenger 2 and this kind of thing. So that's what we want to get, is a Leclerc to add to the collection in the fullness of time, and no doubt it will come. But for the moment, we've only got the AMX-13 as a substitute, and we've got one of those already. So now we're looking at the JS3, or IS-3 if you prefer. It's the Soviet tank known as the Stalin for some reason. It's not a modern tank. It really dates from the end of the Second World War. In fact, there's quite a marvellous story of these things appearing on the street in Germany for the victory parade, and they held them back till last. And as they rolled by the saluting base, the British officer there quaked a bit as they went by. He'd never seen such big tanks with big guns before, and apparently the American officer standing next to him said, "Okay, we're still on your side, buddy," and left it at that, and they needed to know that. Now, I have actually seen an IS-3. I saw it at Duxford a few years ago, and one of the first things that strikes you about it is how tiny it is compared with most of the tanks I'm used to. The Russians do make their tanks fairly compact and cramped, usually with a dome-shaped turret fitted to them, and that's typical of the JS3. They've managed to get a tremendous amount of kit into a very small space. And it's a tank I really would like for the collection more than any other at the moment, because it's really very apt, and it brings the Second World War to a finish, which is quite something in itself. This is number 3 on our list. It's the Maus, which was the huge German tank, the heavy German tank. Now, we're never going to get one, as much as we'd like one. The very fact that there's only 2 left, they're amalgamated into one tank and they're at the Russian Tank Museum at Kubinka, means that there's no others to spare anyway. So it's a pity, but there it is. It's the one tank we're never going to get to the collection here. But it's a tank we'd like to have because of its size, because of its powerful gun. It was so much bigger than anything the Allies had that it appeared to dominate the whole scene, and it would certainly be an impressive one to have on show here at the Tank Museum, but I don't think we ever will. This is the Abrams, the M1 Abrams. It's number 2 on our list, so it is a fairly high up in the list because it's a tank we've been after for over 21 years, believe it or not, since the first one came out. I think we will have to wait a while until it's sort of got a bit out of date, but the changes in the administration in the United States make this difficult. There's no constant source. You get enthusiasts and then you get those who say no. So sometimes we may have to wait a bit longer, but it is a most interesting vehicle. It's a rival to our Challenger 2. It's been in action with Chally 2 in the same battles, and it's powered by a gas turbine engine, which is a bit thirstier on fuel than the tanks that we use, but it is one of the most interesting vehicles to come out, and that's one of the reasons I would like to have it here. Now, the reason that the Mercury is so unusual and so much in demand is that it's a front engine tank. It has a rear entrance which is designed to carry spare crew members, or even as a small APC in some respects. It's a way of stowing ammunition in the vehicle as well, but that's what makes it so outstanding. It's totally different in layout from any other tank that's made at the moment apart from the S-tank. And really, that's one of the main reasons I'd like it. Well, that's the 5 tanks. You've seen them all. You know now the tanks we want and which we think we're going to get in the fullness of time. Thanks very much for bringing them down. They've really helped to bring the message home, I think. Thanks a lot.
It was my pleasure. If you like the Tank Museum, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and support them on Patreon.